Back in those days, when the well-fed kids in class would race to choose knowledge over money for their essays and write hundreds of lines about Edison and Graham Bell and the rest of their gang, I was busy wondering if, on my way home, I had enough to buy 2 eggs with that flatbread or not. I wasn't the study type. My head was full of the junk I swept off the floor of the restaurant where I worked. Mom kept swearing by every saint and begging me to study. She begged me not to tie my fate to my late father's. I still say God rest his soul when I mean my father, only because Mom put that habit on my tongue. But how is God supposed to forgive a man who spent every night gambling and fooling around, ignored his wife and kid, and burned everything he had in smoke and opium? He didn't survive that smoke. We buried him with 4 men from the neighborhood, the poorest way a man can go. I was 8 years old, barely half a span tall. I became the man of the house. I begged everyone, old and young, to put my hands to work. Ferry Bors, who called himself an orphan and said he knew a fatherless boy's pain, handed me a mop. "Scrub my restaurant floor," he said. "I'll put something in your hand every month." 1 foot in school, 1 foot at the restaurant, 1 foot at home. I tried not to leave my poor mom alone, the way her blood pressure jumped after Dad died. Mamad Sarlok's house at the end of our alley was our pharmacy. The man had everything. If we needed pills, we ran there. If we needed a blood pressure gauge, we went there. If phlegm stuck in our throats, he'd pour handfuls of healing herbs into our palms. Back then, my friend Farshad used to say Mamad and his family were cut from a different cloth, too good for our street. He was right. None of our neighbors could speak as clean and proper as Mamad's wife. His daughter. Oh, his daughter. The few times I sprinted over in my pajama pants, scared stiff about Mom's pressure, I'd see Nargis and lose all grip on myself, as if I didn't have a dying mother at home. Nargis was about my age. That was the only thing we had in common. She'd say Hassan, and my whole body went weak. Only then did I realize how beautiful my name could sound in her mouth. Long story short, I wasn't brave. I was shameless. I fell in love with a life in pieces. I was 12 or 13. I never said a word. I'd lie on our concrete rooftop all night, picture myself beside Nargis, and a wide smile would sit on my face. She had a lot of suitors. I saw fancy cars stop at their door. I saw boxes of sweets stacked by their trash. She said no to every last one. 2 or 3 more years went by. I was still a floor scrubber, but I was ready to jump, ready to tell her I loved her. I knew if Mamad heard, I'd lose more than herbs in a blood pressure cuff. I'd lose an ear, but my head was full of wind. While I was doing the math and hunting for big, pretty words worthy of Nargis, our next-door neighbor, Azam the Crow, came cawing to my mother. After dragging in every saint and sermon, she finally said, "Mamad Sarlok's family is leaving for abroad. Looks like their papers came through." That one sentence was enough to make me hate Azam forever. My words turned to stone in my mouth. My secret stayed sealed. The day they left, they knocked on every door to say goodbye. I remember it was a Saturday. I just got home from work. I was stretched out on the roof, like always, when I heard Mom greeting Mamad's wife. I crawled to the edge and saw the suitcases by Mamad's car. I saw Nargis, and I felt like her eyes were searching our yard for me. Maybe I was fooling myself. Whatever it was, it nailed my feet to the roof. I couldn't move. I watched them leave from above. The tears I shed for Nargis were no less than the bowl of water Mom splashed behind their car. After Nargis, I changed. I was restless. I picked fights over nothing. Mom told me again and again, "You're stepping right where your father stepped." I quit school. She fought like hell to wake me up. I said reading and writing was enough. What good would a diploma do me? Would a piece of paper turn a poor boy into a gentleman? It took time to live without Nargis. Just when I was starting to stand up straight, the restaurant got sealed. Expired goods, they said. I didn't have a clue. The owner swore on the holy book he didn't either. They locked the door anyway, and I was left with a mother whose stomach was emptier than mine. I wore out every street and market looking for work. They wanted degrees, experience, 1,000 this and that I didn't have. In the end, I tied up my bundle and told Mom I was going to Bandar Abbas to work there. I'd heard there's always work there. I found myself on a half-built site welding steel. I had no experience, but within a month I worked like I had 7 generations of welders behind me. I sent money to Mom every month or so. Truth be told, I didn't want to come back. Exile calmed me. Even Mom's crying didn't bring me home more than once or twice. My boss was called Jalal. Big Qajar mustache, bald on top, a belly that walked 10 steps ahead of him. The workers didn't speak well of him. I liked him. He kind of liked me back. He said he liked my grit and hustle. We slid into a kind of friendship. He was my father's age, but down to earth. I told him my hard times. He told me his. We had matching pasts. He told me I'd pull myself together one day, like he did, and escape a life that was 8 ways in debt. He started bringing me home. His place was far from our site, and he'd drive me back and forth. The guys joked my bread was dipped in oil. His family was warm like him. The first night they had me for dinner, they treated me like I mattered. Jalal had 2 girls. One was Hadiya, 7 or 8. The other was Sajida, 3 or 4 years younger than me. Every time I was there, she sat with me and Jalal. I kept wondering why she wasn't helping her mother. At first, out of modesty, and because Jalal trusted me, I barely even glanced at his womenfolk. Little by little, I realized they were open-minded. If I kept my eyes glued to the floor, I'd be the joke. Bit by bit, my chin rose. Hadiya played odds and evens with me. Sajia talked to me about her university. Their mother watched over me like my own. Packed me food for work, washed my clothes, even bought me a shirt now and then. One day, I woke up and I was part of their family. Truth is, life was sweet. My old mother was far away, worried sick. I fussed over the boss's wife and told her I loved her like a mother, and I could clearly feel Sajida's heart leaning my way. Did I mind? Who would? She was pretty, from a good family, educated, moneyed, and she was openly choosing me. I kept telling God, "Look at you, finally showing me a little kindness." One day at work, a love text from her lit up my phone. My skin tingled. Then guilt grabbed me by the throat. I typed back that I was betraying Jalal's trust. To my shock, she said she'd already told her father. She wanted a life, not a fling. I laughed. Me, broke and alone in a strange city, and here I was with a proposal from the boss's daughter, a girl far above me in every way. I still kept quiet. A few days later, they invited me over. That night, Jalal, in so many words, said he knew. Who better than me for his daughter? Her mother didn't even notice the bite of food stuck in my throat. She said decent, loyal boys like me are rare. I wanted someone to slap me so I'd know if I was awake. In a blink, I went from hanging off iron beams with a welding torch to going back to my town, taking Mom by the hand, and asking for a princess. Mom was stunned like me. She couldn't believe God had turned toward us. She kept saying her nightly prayers were answered, and our life was finally moving. On the night of the proposal, Sajida set one condition. She wanted to live in her own city and couldn't care for my mother. She was saying, gently, choose between us. Before I could speak, Mom said she wouldn't touch our life. She'd stay in her own home. We'd start our family there. Our happiness would be enough for her. Our engagement and signing the papers took less than 1 week. Me, the boy who thought no girl would ever take my hand. My name landed in her booklet. Jalal said it was beneath him for his son-in-law to weld. He put a heavy truck under me to haul freight. The truck was his, but he said he was too old to drive. He needed someone to watch the workers. He'd teach me the roads step by step. 2 months later, Dalal threw us a simple wedding. We moved into a house near his. I still felt like I was dreaming. Sajida was all in. She went all out for me. Even with Jalal's endless help, I worked the truck day and night, hoping to stand on my own feet and pay back their kindness. 2 or 3 years passed like that. One night, Jalal came over and dropped a bomb. "You won't get ahead like this," he said. "I've got a bigger offer." The bigger offer was drug smuggling. Hide it in the cargo and go. I thought he was joking or testing me. He wasn't. It was real. It wasn't an offer. It was an order. I was late to see it. Jalal was already in that business. He hadn't built his wealth on bricks alone. I refused. I said no dirty money would sit on my table. That's when I saw the real Jalal and the real face of my wife. She stood against me for defying her father and threatened divorce. "My dad made you a man. He filled your hands with money. He pulled you up from nothing. Who are you to say no to him? You try it, and tomorrow morning we're in court."
I was stuck in a pit only God could see. I didn't want to walk my father's road. I didn't want crime. I didn't want my mother's bread soaked in sin. But I was a puppet, and they held the strings. After I accepted that filthy deal, my life flipped. My peace was gone. Even the way I looked at my own wife changed. We fought every day. She cursed me dead and alive. I slept in the truck so I wouldn't hear her nagging. Jalal set up the loads, hid the stuff himself, and whispered about foreign cars and hilltop villas to keep me from bolting. And me? I'll say it again. I had no choice. Soon, the bread on our table wasn't clean. Our marriage rotted. I started thinking of dropping everything and ending myself. I didn't know the real disaster was still waiting. One night, after I picked up the load, the truck broke down. I called Jalal. It was 2 after midnight. No answer. I called 2, 3 others. They were asleep. I headed home. I wish that trailer had fallen on me and kept me away. Seeing my wife's betrayal was the last bullet. A half-naked man in my home? If I'd been a real man, I would have died. I should have died. I didn't.
I'd beat him till he was near dead. She jumped on me, clawing, crying that she loved him. I looked death in the eye. That night passed, God knows how. Sajed ran to her father's house. Jalal came to me. "Maybe you didn't give her enough," he said. "She's not that kind of girl. Anyway, forget it. Focus on work. Why did the truck break down?" I felt like everyone had teamed up to drive me mad. I swore I'd kill her or that man. I smashed Jalal's doors and windows. I screamed down the whole street. I ignored his kicks and punches, and I threatened them both. I knew I couldn't beat a big man like Jalal. I went the legal way. I filed charges against her and her family. Before they even stepped into court, they cut my legs out from under me. They called the police, gave up the truck's location, pointed to the stash. The truck was in my name, the papers in my name. How could I prove that most of the money went into Jalal's pocket? I went to prison. She divorced me in my absence. My poor mother counted days outside that prison gate, waiting for me to return. Her life didn't last as long as my sentence. I became the son who outdid his father's foolishness. Mom died of grief. My hair turned white in a cage. Every day I died 1,000 times and came back. When I got out, I felt like I only had a few days left to live. I ignored the white hair, the skinny frame, the dead mother, my lost honor. I went straight to Jalal's door for revenge. What a fool I was, thinking he'd sit and wait. He was gone. Years gone. No one knew where. I turned the city upside down. It was as if Jalal and Sajed had never existed. I went back to my town, back to my mother's grave. After years of running and holding it together, after years of being a child and acting like a man, I curled up on her grave like a fetus and cried. For myself, for my life, for my lost years, and for a God who never once sweetened the poison in my mouth.